I've generated over $1 million with digital products, and I've spent over $100,000 learning these lessons so you don't have to. So, my very first digital product that I created was an ebook. Now, when I created this ebook, I was flat out broke. I literally could not afford a $5 hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars. I had to go into debt to afford a $5 pizza. And I was thinking of a way that I could get out of my financial situation that I was in. And I had thought that I could create an ebook, right? Now, during the time, I had absolutely no knowledge whatsoever about online business, digital products, or digital marketing. And when I was doing my market research, I realized that a lot of people at the time were giving out ebooks for free. So I was like, man, I need some money. I need to sell this thing. So, how am I going to generate some revenue from something that I perceived people were giving away for free? Because I knew nothing about giving away freebies to build up an email list towards people market and sell to people through email. I knew nothing about that. So I was thinking about how could I increase the value that I thought people were giving away for free. So what I did was that I bundled a video package with my ebook to give a bundle. And I basically presented my ebook like a free course, right? So what had happened with me was that the year prior, I was trying to grow an audience on social media because I believe, like most people believe, which I later found out is a big lie, that you have to have this big audience on social media in order to have a personal brand and sell digital products and whatnot. So the year prior, I had done something on my Instagram channel or my Instagram page called Daily Free Game. And every single day, I posted a 1 minute video giving some type of game about what I knew at the time, which what I was attempting and failing at that time was a small niche in real estate called wholesaling, right? But nobody was paying attention to me. Nobody was listening. Nobody was watching the content that I was posting on my Instagram channel. So I deleted all of those videos because if you add up 1 minute over 365 days, it's roughly about 6 hours worth of content. And I added that bundle to my ebook. And that was my very first digital product. Now, this first digital product, it made me a little over $900,000 in about an 18-month span. What I learned there was that people could care less about buying another digital product. They cared less about buying my ebook. They cared less about buying the free course that came with the ebook to raise its perceived value. And I found out that they could care less about getting into real estate as well. What the people that were buying that first digital product were doing was that they just wanted to get out of the problem that they were in at the time, which I realized through the feedback that I was getting from the marketplace was that they just wanted a way to make income outside of their 9 to 5. And they saw that my solution about what I had figured out for myself at the time was a way that they could do it. Now, I know that you may say, like, oh, didn't you say that you were broke at the beginning of this video? How did you figure out a way to make some money for yourself outside of your 9 to 5? Well, I fired my job April 1st, 2016, before I ever made a dollar for myself as an entrepreneur. And the first business that I got started in was that small niche in real estate called wholesaling. Now, I wasn't the most successful at it, but I had figured out a way for myself to whereas it was feeding myself. I was paying my bills. I didn't have to clock into a 9 to 5. When I went absolute broke was that I had got involved with some people and they had kind of taken advantage of me and got me started in fixing and flipping houses and doing the construction and all that stuff. And that's when I went absolutely broke. But from me figuring out a way for me to pay my bills outside of a 9 to 5 and maybe make anywhere between like three to $12,000 a month, other people wanted to learn how to do that. So I realized that everything comes down to problem solving. And if you can come up with a solution to a painful problem that somebody else has within the marketplace, people will pay for that actual solution. Now, here's what I also realized that the product doesn't matter because not one time in any of the sales of my first digital product that made my first $900,000, which later on took me to over a 7 figure mark within about 18 months, is that on not one sale, on not one piece of content did I say, buy my ebook. Not one time did I say, buy my course. Not one time did I say, buy my bundle. All that I did was focus on the solution. And I positioned my product as a logical next best step to whatever it is that they're going with. And I led with that first. So with me, it was the ebook covered 99 ways how to find deals, and the video modules covered how to do everything in the business from A to Z, right? But in all of my content, I said learn 99 ways how to flip houses without using any of your own cash or credit. Nobody knew that it was an ebook with bundles or whatnot. They knew that that was the big promise of the product. So, what you need to realize or come up with or think about or meditate on is what is the promise that you are going to fulfill for somebody? What is the result that they want? What is the transformation that they want? What is the new identity that they want? And then lead with that in all of your call to actions. Now, with that very first product that I did, my platform of choice was short form social media, just like everybody's trying to hack. Instagram was my platform of choice. It was exhausting. I was posting 3 to 5 times per day. Then I had an infomercial strategy where I was posting another 5 times per night between the hours of 12 o'clock midnight to 5 a.m. And then by 6 a.m., I would delete all of the posts overnight and then do my additional 3 to 5 times per day. Then I was posting in stories. I was going live. I had started to do live webinars each and every single Thursday. I started to experiment with ads and whatnot. It was exhausting. I was like, man, there has to be a better way. So then I joined somebody's high ticket mastermind. I spent about $40,000 to join somebody's high ticket mastermind to learn how to scale this thing, right? What I really learned in that high ticket mastermind was every single thing that I do not want to do. And I realized that a lot of stuff that you see online, especially from people in the make money online space and the marketing bros and whatnot, it's not real. It's smoke and mirrors. I skipped my happy tail on down the yellow brick road and I got to the end of the yellow brick road and I realized that the Wizard of Oz ain't real. Because what a lot of these people tell you in the high ticket space is that they don't tell you about the cash that they actually collected. They just tell you their revenue. And actually, they don't even tell you their revenue. They tell you commitments, right? So you'll hear a lot of people in the high ticket space talk about things like, oh, I had $100,000 day. I had $1 million day. I did this 3 day challenge, 5 day challenge webinar and had this much money in a day. They don't tell you about the actual cash that they collected. They just tell you the commitments because in the high ticket space, typically they get people to put down a down payment, which is typically about $2,000 as a down payment because they don't want to charge more than that. Because if they get chargebacks or refund requests, their payment processes get shut down. That's why these guys, when they coach and they teach, they say get backup payment processes. Well, if you're doing good business, why do you need all these backup payment processes? Because they're actually just selling promises, but they're not fulfilling on the promises at a percentage of where majority of people are pleased. So a lot of those guys get a lot of charge bets and whatnot instead of actually fulfilling on the promise of whatever it is that you offered. So they'll take a $2,000 down payment and then they have people wire the rest. Why? Because guess what? You can't charge back a wire. Money's just gone. I didn't realize that I had actually paid my $40,000 in full. And I thought that I was getting in a room of other people that had done that as well. But people were asking me things that came with the actual program that we were in and I was like, why don't you know this? Why don't you have access to this? Why are you asking me this? It comes with the program. They're like, oh no, we haven't paid enough money to get to that yet. I was like, what? And then later on, as I was there, I realized that most of these people just put down $2,000 deposits and then were on either payment plans or they were sending in these these wires later on and whatnot. Now, in the high ticket space as well, I had realized that the things that I was being taught to do, I was actually making more money when I just was focusing in on a low ticket digital product. So a lot of these people, they'll say that they have these $1 million businesses, but I'm like, what is the point to just say that you have a seven-figure business if you're walking away with $150,000 to $300,000, maybe if that, just to sell a digital product? Because at the end of the day, even something that's high ticket, it's simply just a digital product. Typically, it's some type of on demand training, digital product, and then some type of access to you as far as coaching, which are typically group or whatnot. But if the deliverable of anything is digital, guess what, my friend? It is a digital product. And that makes absolutely no sense to spend all this money on marketing, all this money on advertising, all this money on team and whatnot, because a lot of this stuff is sold over the phone just to sell a freaking course. Doesn't make any sense to me. So, what I realized about what I was attempting to do is that none of it felt in alignment with me. And that's why none of it was working, because I didn't want to do that stuff. I didn't want to have people on payment plans. I didn't want to have people going into debt, because another thing that they do is that if you're not able to pay for it, they ask you what your credit score is and all this stuff. And then they try to get you funded and whatnot. And there's actual businesses that exist that just fund coaching offers or whatnot. A lot of people's favorite coaches and gurus ask people to pull from their retirement, to pull equity from their houses and get second mortgages and whatnot. I'm not the ethics police, but how I'm set up as a person, I don't want to do that stuff. But what I had realized prior to that was that I was focusing on the wrong things. I was thinking about how could I get as much money as possible. And I was thinking that I would get that by selling more digital products to more people. So I had an actual plan to whereas I was going to create one digital product each month. And from each one of those digital products, I was like, man, if I made almost $1 million with this one, well, then I'll make $12 million if I just create one in each actual month. And that's what I thought. And guess what started to happen? My business started to tank. Why is that? The same reason why most people can't find any success in building an audience or monetizing that audience with their offer. Because typically, when you create a new product and when you try to post on multiple platforms, they all act as a different business. So people are thinking that they're having multiple offers when in actuality, it's like running multiple businesses. And if you have not actually figured out how to get one business working for yourself, why do you think you're going to get 5, 7, 8, 10, 12 like I thought to work? It's not going to work like that. Same as that thing goes with social media platforms. The same as that thing goes with your energy. And 10 times out of 10, you're going to lose to that person that's putting all their energy into one thing when somebody else that's putting their energy into all these different things, they typically don't get anywhere, right? Because they're putting a, a little into a lot instead of a lot into a little. And once I got back to here, my business started to tick back up again. So what I realized is that it's not about doing more and it's not about creating more and it's not about getting more people to buy more stuff. It's about increasing your lifetime value from that one. So just think about business and entrepreneurship in general, outside of online business, outside of digital products, and just think about the stuff that you buy on a day to day basis. It's always easier to get somebody that has bought something from you to buy again. But how most people do, including my former self, is that we're thinking of something new that we could create to this person or for a different person instead of thinking, how can we increase the lifetime value of that individual that had already made a purchasing decision and has had a good experience with us? So, what I started to do with that first digital product, I originally charged $40 for it. Well, I upped the price from 40 to 47. And then I started to add upsells, downsells, and order bumps on the back end. Why is that? Because a buyer is always going to be a buyer, right? So just think about this. We have all walked into the store with one thing on our mind, and then we walk out of the store with multiple things. Why is that? Because the best time to sell something to somebody is either while they're buying or immediately after they've purchased. So initially, I added an order bump to this offer. An order bump is some type of no brainer item that goes hand in hand with your core offering. So if you're thinking of a burger, the fries and the drink is the order bump. So what I did was that I initially added a $20 order bump and then a $25 order bump, right? Some no brainer, lower ticketed item. Then I added an upsell. In this particular funnel, my upsell was $200. Guess what? A percentage of people took that. I just made an extra $200 from somebody that initially came in to spend $47. Well, for the people that declined that upsell, I downsold them the same exact thing for 50% off, right? So I'll just say minus 50%, which was $100. Well, why does this work? Because people love a deal. So if somebody says that they don't want my upsell, then they see that it's available for 50% off. Guess what? A percentage of people do take that. But the great thing about this is that they don't see this, or the people that bought it here don't see the down sale because they took it at the $200 point. The people that decline it, they see the down sale. A percentage of people take that. Cool. And here's the thing about online money, digital products, and whatnot. This is all extra income. This is all extra money. It does not take me any more effort, time, energy, resources to do this. And I'm all about extra. This is increasing your lifetime value of that one individual. So this is what I did that really took me to a seven figure level, and this is what really started to turn it into a true business for myself. And then later on, what I did was that I added an additional upsell. I added an additional downsell, and then on my thank you page, I'm gonna just put TY for thank you. I added something called continuity. If you're not familiar with continuity, it's when somebody buys something from you once, but they pay for it over and over and over and over again. So that could be something like a membership. That could be something like in my example, it was a membership in the community, right? So why this works, this will look familiar to you. As soon as I put let's put some walls to this thing here, right? So the reason why this works, this looks really sloppy. You deserve a little better than that. The reason why this works is that if I erase some of this stuff here, this looks like a store. Think of a hallway in a store, or think of the furniture store, IKEA, if you've ever been. Last time I went to IKEA, which was years ago, I haven't been in there in a while, but this is where I first started to think about this. I went to IKEA for a cowhide rug. This was the core thing that I came to IKEA for. But when I was in there, I was like, man, I just now did some renovations to my house, just bought a house or whatever. I'm about to move in. It's empty. I need some things. So while I'm walking in IKEA for my cowhide rug, I see plates, I see bowls, I see cutlery, I see glasses, I see trash cans and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, well, let me get that. Let me get that. Let me get that. The same exact thing happens here. And then IKEA, they have these little arrows and pointing, which guides the traffic that forces you to see everything that they have to offer. So why not do the same thing? Some people be like, oh, didn't know you had this available. I'll take that. Oh, didn't know you had this available. I'll take that. Oh, and then they get out, right? Now, this is how you actually turn it into a business online with digital products. You want to think about increasing your lifetime value. And there's two main ways that I suggest that you do this. Now, I later started to do this with my first digital product. Then I created a digital product about how to grow a social media audience. I've created a lot of stuff over the years. But what I've realized that I've done is that I've simply just helped my past self deal and come up with a solution for my past self so they can get through certain things that they're going through in real time, which is the same as that stuff that I do now because I saw the error in my ways on social media. Like I said, when I was doing all of this, posting 3 to 5 times per day, and then another 5 times overnight with going live and stories and ads and whatnot, I got burnt out. So I had realized that everything that I was doing, even though I was making more money for myself, was for in the now. I wasn't thinking long term. And the only long term evergreen platform where content lives for weeks, months, and literal years is YouTube. So I had built up a social media audience to over 100,000 followers, and then I quit it. At the time, my Instagram had a little over 120,000 followers. Have no clue what it's at today because I haven't been on there in years. My TikTok had like 15 or 16,000 followers. Quit that, start up a YouTube channel from absolute scratch. My YouTube channel had like maybe 2,000 subscribers or so, maybe 2 to 3,000 subscribers. And that was all from shorts from a podcast that I had that nobody was listening to. And I would chop up the podcast and do it, all the subscribers or whatever. But I had about 2 to 3,000, which none of them were watching any of my short form content at all. I quit that, and quit the YouTube shorts, which had got me these subscribers, quit that, and all I did was long form YouTube. In about 3 months' time, I started to make some life changing um, income off of it because I'm thinking business first, not content first. I have an offer attached to the content, right? Which I'm thinking about increasing the lifetime value. And like I said, there's 2 ways that I recommend that you do this. One way is either this way, to whereas you have some type of model that you ascend the customer over time to increase your LTV and create some type of system for yourself. And system stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. Right? That's how we get our time back and we make more while working less. The system here can work for us each and every single day. So we either have some type of ascension model like this, or we have what I had here on my thank you page on my low ticket funnels, which is, like I said, continuity. So anything that I do now, if it does not have some type of long term winning effect for me, I want absolutely nothing to do with it because I've been through experiences where I made a lot, what a lot of people would perceive to be a lot of money in a short period of time. I've had 6 figure months. The most amount of money that I've generated online in a single month is a little over $200,000. Guess what? The first of the month, I'm starting over again from zero and have to hustle, grind my face off to do that again. Versus, I can create a system for myself with a micro niche YouTube channel and have true digital assets that I created in the past be working for me today, all generating traffic to my funnel or my system. And like I suggest 2 ways to increase your LTV, either this way or focusing in on continuity, which will be something like a community, which will be something like a software or something like that, which currently I have a community and I'm currently building a software because I'm seeing not only from my community, but from my YouTube viewership as well, my audience, there's a big recurring problem that majority of people that I help online in their business are going through. And I currently need this as well. And it's also going to help not only my past self, my present self, but my future self as well. I'm building out a software right now, which is another digital product, which is continuity as well. And with continuity, you're increasing your lifetime value with your customer because you're consistently adding value instead of a one time value add, and then try to think of something new to sell to new people. But if you truly want to turn this into a real business for yourself, stop doing whatever trendy thing is out there. Stop doing whatever is hot right now and truly just focus on things to where you can increase the lifetime value of an individual and truly add value to them and add transformation to them, because it's always going to be easier to sell something to somebody that has already had a good experience with you and has purchased something from you. It's always going to be easier to do that than to go out and acquire a new customer. And if you focus on having some type of ascension model like this, or focusing on continuity with some type of community or membership or software, I'm just going to put SaaS, which stands for service as a software, or add some type of continuity into something like this, you'll be able to make monthly recurring revenue, or something that I um, better like to say is predictable monthly recurring revenue. And you'll actually be able to build a business within your purpose around the lifestyle that you design for yourself, or around the lifestyle that you would like to design or architect for yourself. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, including my former self, they can't really plan out their life because they don't know how much money that they're going to make. I travel. I know my friends will be like, "Hey man, I see you traveling. Let's do something. I want to go. Let's make this trip." I'll be like, "Oh, I can't really tell you my travel plans or anything like that until like maybe a week or two before, because I don't know what my income and my money and my business is going to be looking like." That's because I was just reaching for new all-time highs and make more money, make the most amount of money as possible, grind my face off until I can just make more money and raise the bar, instead of, when I'm just focusing on raising the bar, guess what? There's no floor and it can bottom out. I've been in places to where my income literally went to zero overnight while I had a 5-figure per month overhead. That hurt. And that's actually, now that I look back at it, I'm thankful for it, because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have the vision and be building what I'm currently focused on. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel right now. If that didn't happen, I would not have a community right now. If that didn't happen, I would not be building out a software right now, right? But now everything that I'm focused on, instead of raising the floor, I mean, instead of raising the the ceiling and raising the bar and reaching new heights, what about if I just raise the floor to whereas if something does start to slow down, it can't bottom out. It has a new low. So now when you focus on raising the floor, yeah, you increase your income, but you build a new plateau. You increase your income, but you build a new plateau. So if something does fall, it falls to here instead of there, right? And this comes into simply focusing on lifetime value, and value is a real thing. And money is simply just a symbol that value has been exchanged. So many people want more money, but they don't understand what money actually is. It's just a symbol of value being exchanged. And people only spend their money on things that has a higher perceived value than the money is worth to them. And when you focus on truly adding value to people, then you realize that people could care less about buying another digital product. What they want is the result of that product. What they want is the transformation of that product. What they want is the new identity that they will receive, or the identity that they see themselves becoming from the actual product. And you focus in on delivering that with the true value, you will increase your lifetime value. So stop thinking about the money, start thinking about the value, start thinking about the people, and start thinking about delivering this to those actual people. And you'll start to build a true lifestyle business for yourself where you're making peaceful profits within your actual purpose. And you look forward to doing your work each and every single day. And it doesn't start to feel like work, it starts to feel like purpose. And check out this playlist right here if you want to see me building out my new product from literal day one, from ideation to turning it into a 7-figure business.